Making games is fun, but there is a bit of a problem. Because of my tendency to overscope, I can't ever finish games. So last week, I told myself that I'd make a game and no matter the state, after the weekends I would make a video on it, and that's what this is. To make sure it's actually completable, I decided on a FNAF fan game, or at least something similar because that's relatively simple. I was thinking about how to go about this game in video while still integrating it easily with both my Roguelike and FNAF videos, and I realized something. What if I mix the stationary chaos of something like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the floor system of Dandy's World, and the progression of Nullscape? This sounds complex, but in practice it's relatively simple. Broken down, it's Dandy's World, but you're stuck in the elevator. I should probably elaborate on that a bit more. The game began with this premise and a main mechanic revolving power, you having to recharge a battery slowly to ascend to the next floor, while also still using that power to close the doors in front of you. But unfortunately, that idea just didn't work out. Having power be both your progression and main resource is incredibly counterintuitive and would have made the floors super tedious, so after putting together a door system and a basic elevator over the span of the first day, most of which I was busy during, I ended up scrapping this original version. Kinda. It now still takes place in an elevator, but I changed it. A normal elevator just didn't have the gameplay potential I needed, so I decided to turn it into a regret-ovator. A maintenance elevator instead, since those are a lot more open, allow for more game design freedom, and are generally spookier and more decrepit, since how would I even go about having enemies aside from the front door on a normal elevator? It just doesn't make sense. Along with this, instead of a battery charging, you're now actually slowly ascending through an elevator shaft to reach the next floor, having to turn a wheel manually to progress. This is still similar to the battery thing, but generally is better because you're not directly using your height as a resource anymore, you fend off foes with other things. After, well, actually developing a premise, I got to work on the game itself. The first thing I did was put together an outline pixel shader, as in the previous iteration, I had a pixel shader since I was trying to replicate Freddy's 3. I wasn't a fan of that shader, and as such, I made an outline shader. By myself, of course, as I am a master of shaders. For some reason though, there was something off about the lighting, and for a solid day while developing other features, specifically a flashlight, I had no idea why it was so weird looking, until I remembered in the tutorial that I didn't use, I was told to turn on vector shading to get the pixel art aesthetic down, which basically means only points on a corner are lit up, making things like cubes completely scuffed looking with a flashlight on that. After fixing that, I was absolutely set. At that point, I realized I needed to figure out a bit of a style aside from just the pixel art aesthetic. And, in character with my previous Nullscape inspiration, I thought what better to go for than a strange mash of 2D and 3D with low-res stylized image for the enemies. I also came up with the name, Terminal Ascension. After finally finishing the gameplay premise and getting a flashlight and the visuals done, I can now actually get to work on making the gameplay systems. Before we get into that though, please subscribe, as I'm less than 30 subscribers away from 2,000. The first thing I did was get together a basic maintenance elevator and progression system, allowing you to ascend through the elevator shaft till the height value hits 100. It's made so that the length of floors can be tweaked heavily, and I can even make upgrades speed it up if I wanted to. After developing that basic stuff, I didn't actually get that much done in terms of gameplay because I was busy for the first couple of days, but I did finally write a premise and design some enemies, which I'll talk about in a minute. You are dead, and you are now in the Void, a state between life and death. Fortunately, a mysterious individual helps you out. He can save you, and you can be brought to life. With one caveat. You must ascend back to the surface by yourself using a maintenance elevator while playing a little game with the individual and its cohort. If you win, you get your life and freedom. If you die, he gets your soul. I then decided it was a good idea to actually, design some of these enemies. This isn't quite chronological order, as the enemies were designed before the plot outline, but I thought it'd make the most sense structure-wise in the video to introduce them and show how they evolved. The first one I designed was the Shade, which is repelled via your flashlight. Its design is far and away the one that stayed closest to its original sketch, though, as of recording, he isn't actually completely finished design-wise. And this is the most recent sketch. This entity has no personality, as is not truly alive. It's basically a ghost, kind of. It's a little bit hard to explain. The second enemy I made was the Seer. The Seer functions in a similar manner to Slight from Grace, attacking you if you stare at it too long. This enemy was almost immediately reworked though, as the design idea was super boring. I mean, it's just a guy in a cloak with an eye. The current version is actually heavily inspired by Omega Flowey. This one I'm showing right now was its second iteration, and is much closer to the most recent version, being renamed the Flesh Flower for obvious reasons. This is the current version, and far and away my favorite iteration. Each of the flowers is a separate entity that all shares the same body, and they each encapsulate some sort of major personality trait. The blue one is meek, the purple one is cunning, and the red is incredibly quick to anger. As for the yellow one, nobody really knows, he rarely ever speaks. The third enemy is known as the Keeper. He watches over the void to make sure nobody enters or leaves, so if he appears, you've got to duck down and hide in the elevator. The final enemy in the current state of the game is far and away my favorite, the Moon Man. This is the mysterious figure who offers you a deal in the beginning, and is by far and away the most difficult foe to face as of yet. When he appears, he will be sleeping. You must both make no noise and not shine a light on them, or else he'll wake up and attack. Making noise is things like turning the wheel to progress, so you kinda have to stop in your tracks and fight off other enemies when he's there. He also has this form, which will be the final boss of the game. His mechanics will vary wildly and currently have no set plans though. To actually implement enemies, I put together a modular system where I can easily change how long a foe stays before disappearing, how their attack mechanic works, and how long it takes for them to attack. Expanding on that a bit, every enemy essentially functions on an invisible aggravation meter. If this hits 100, they'll attack you. This bar goes up when you do their mechanic, like for example if you look at the Flesh Flower the bar goes up, or if you make a noise or shine a light on the Moon Man his bar would go up. To counteract this, they've also got a fear meter. For most enemies this just slowly goes up, it's their timer. But for things like the Shade, the fear meter only goes up when directly flashing your light on it, and the aggravation meter would actually be the thing slowly going up. This system was made so I can easily and dynamically edit how the enemies work and, hypothetically, scale their difficulty as the floors go on, making for interesting changes. I'm not sure as of yet if progression will function like Nullscape where you have both upgrades and curses, along with multiple of each threat, so scaling for enemies is undecided, but if there's only one of each threat, I'll probably just end up scaling them. The first enemy I implemented with all these mechanics was the Flesh Flower, since he was relatively simple. I say that, but this is what took up most of my development time. Along with that, I put together a small little shop scene, allowing you to now transition into the shop in between floors and get upgrades, though those aren't implemented yet, so it basically just starts up the next floor. This is the shopkeeper, Kevin, actually the first character I designed for this game. As of yet though, he does have no finished design. He currently looks like this though. He'll give you a choice between 3 upgrades per floor. I'm not sure what type of currency I'll use. He also gives you a choice of which enemy to add to the floor, similar to Nullscape, and if curses exist, he'll also do that. If you couldn't tell already by my phrasing, this game absolutely did not get finished in a week, and as of writing this is still in development with only really one enemy being done, but I just finished the system sometime yesterday, so it's going to be pretty easy to implement new ones, and the game should actually be playable within the next few weeks, so I'll make sure to keep doing devlogs on it. I'm currently focusing on bug fixes, more enemy designs, and planning on overall making this just a bit more of a long-term project, though it's still not long-term, like a month or 2, as I still don't want to overscope it. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and join my Discord if you want to see more on the game.